Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Friday, February 24th. Yeah, baby. Bad day. Another bad day. Thanks to the monetarist zombies, because they got all freaked out because people are spending money. Personal consumption expenditures were up hotter than what the forecast was, so of course that instilled the dreaded rate hike scenarios. And we've been all through that over the last year. Markets had a nice recovery since October, which coincided completely with the end of the fiscal contraction of 2022. It had nothing to do, all this stuff that we're seeing in terms of the market recovery has to do with the rebound from the fiscal contraction in 2022, which I told you was going to happen, okay? But I want to talk about something today, maybe a little bit spiritual, maybe a little bit biblical. Actually, I'm going to read you a little passage from the Bible about doubt, because I've been trying to instill upon you guys this idea that if the fiscal flows are rising, if we're in an accelerating trend of fiscal flows, which we are, very profoundly, I might add, not just since October, but they've recently accelerated quite strongly. And if you are a subscriber to my report, I sent out a chart about this, and you could see this very visually. It's just very, very obvious. But you have to believe in this. This is the core of the analysis that I use, but I also said many times before, because maybe you'll say, so it's the core analysis that Mike Norman uses. Big deal. Who's Mike Norman? He's nobody, okay? But this is the first derivative of everything. It's the money that the government puts into the economy, which we cannot even pay taxes before that money is put in, okay? Those dollars have to be put in first before we can pay taxes. And I know everybody thinks like it's our taxes that fund spending. And even me, sometimes when it comes to certain issues like political or social issues, I also like to invoke that belief, because it's like, hey, what the hell, if everybody else is using that to justify whatever, I'm going to also use that to justify, like, why are we sending $113 billion to Ukraine? Nobody's asking where's the money coming from, or why is the defense budget $800 billion every single year, and nobody asks how we're going to pay for it. I'll use that argument too in those situations, even though it's not applicable under a MMT understanding, which is the correct understanding. But the fiscal flows are the first derivative, and everything else, even bank lending, okay, hinges off of that. Bank lending hinges off of that. And as far as like monetary policy, I don't know how many times I've explained this, like a million, zillion, gazillion times. All that is a price change. And it is a fiscal operation in some sense. It is either an addition of interest income, right, when they raise interest rates, or it's a subtraction of interest income, which those two things in and of themselves are fiscal operations, okay? The Fed cannot give out money to, like, defense contractors or send us all checks. Congress has to do that, but the Fed can transfer money to financial institutions, of which, that's an institutional construct. And so And then it's not like those financial institutions lend us that money. Those are just either assets on the bank's books, which, by the way, is an inhibitor of their ability to lend more, because if the Fed's piling assets on the bank's books, guess what? They need more capital. They don't even want I've been through this thing so many times, the other day, maybe last week, I don't know, I did a video and I said that bank reserves in the last, 6-8 months, I forget the number, have dropped something like 700 billion. So the Fed, through its operations and taxes that have drained bank reserves by 700 billion, bank loans have gone up by over $1 trillion. So where so many people think there's this one-to-one correlation between, the Fed gives banks reserves and they lend that out. No, it's actually the opposite. They don't want the reserves, because once you pile on those reserves, guess what? They need capital to justify holding those. That's why they're shunting the reserves off to the Fed's reverse repo facility. And it's the reason why the Fed had to create the reverse repo facility in the first place, because because of what it was doing, it was throwing the banks into violation against its own regulations. Against the Fed's own regulations. Anyway, I want to talk about doubt. Because doubt is an emotion that all of us often go through. It's totally human. All right? I would never criticize anybody about this. I am subject and prone to this too, doubt. When you expect things to work out a certain way and then they don't, and then you become doubtful. But it's one of those things, it's a human emotion, and emotions are very often irrational. And that's why mentally you have to fight against these things. And when it comes to investing, doubt is a factor, is an emotion that exists practically all the time. Except maybe when the market's going up every single day and you think, that's when you, by the way, that's when you should have doubt. But most people don't. But I'm talking about it now in the context of the market going through some, and by the way, I told you this was going to happen. I told you this was going to happen months ago. I said February 15th was going to be the peak in the fiscal flows. We're going to have a slowdown. Then we're going to get into the March and the April tax drain period, and it's going to be a correction and But that's all temporary. And it's all temporary because we know that the government runs deficits, which is a net addition to the financial balances of the economy. And as a matter of fact, this year, 2023, the deficit is going to be higher than last year, which means the addition to the financial balances is going to be higher. So let me talk about doubt, because right now, with the last few days we've been through, you might be thinking, but it's Mike Norman, he just full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Look at what's going on with the market. Maybe he called, the correction, but it's just going to keep going down. All these guys on Wall Street are saying the same thing. It's just going to keep going down because the Fed and interest rates and I did 2 videos earlier today talking about how much the fiscal transfers, the interest income transfers are going to be. We're talking about almost 1.5 trillion annually checks. Boom, 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 being sent out, okay? Now, can you imagine if the government just said, forget about the whole interest rate situation. What if the government, what if Congress or the president said, hey, we're just going to send out 1.5 trillion in checks. Boom, boom, boom. People be going nuts. But that's exactly what's happening, but nobody cares. All right, but here's what I want to, look, I got my version of the Bible. All right, I don't know if you can see it. I'm not a religious guy, to be honest with you, but I look at the Bible from time to time because it has cool things in it. And this comes from, I'm going to read you a little tiny passage. It's not big. It comes from James, the book of James 1:6. James 1:6, if you want to look it up. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. Very short passage. If you doubt, that means you have no anchor. You're like a wave driven and tossed by the sea. You don't know where you are going. Because of your doubt, one day it could look like this, one day it could look like that. You're like a wave driven and tossed by the sea. Don't have doubt. Listen, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I am beseeching you. The fiscal flows are going up. Please, if nothing else, sign up for a 30-day. You don't have to keep it. You could cancel it. There's no obligation. I'll send you that chart. When I look at that, in all the years that I've been doing this, when I look at that and I see that acceleration like a launch from the Kennedy Space Center in wherever it is in Florida, I mean, that gives me so much confidence. Not doubt. It gives me the opposite of doubt. It gives me confidence. I bought into, well, I didn't buy a lot. I really don't have any investable cash right now. Unfortunately, I said that. I think I said that in another video. But I wish I did, because today was another wonderful day. Wonderful day to buy into this dip. And there might be more. Look, I know, March, tax train, April, tax train. But for me, again, listen, you can't pay the taxes until they put the money in first. And they're putting the money in, you know, that pipe, that spigot, that flow. What this chart shows is just an increasing pace of flow. And when I see that, that's like really, really bullish. So don't have doubt. You want me to read that again? I'll read that one more time. Oh, I lost my page. Sorry. Anyway, it was James, what was it? James 1:6, I think it is what it was. So you can look it up if you have a Bible. If not, you can Google it. And I'll put it up here at the end. Anyway, I love you all. Love you all. Thank you for following this channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you, everybody. Bye.